And welcome back, my spooky listeners. My name is Pookie, and you are listening to the Spooky Pookie podcast. Okay, so for today's episode, I wanted to continue last week's episode, which was about the vivid dreams that I had received the email about. And I wanted to also take a minute to mention some important context that I don't think I mentioned in the last episode, and if I did, apologies, but can't hurt to hear it again. So the reason why these dreams really stood out to him, other than they felt very vivid and very important, and they felt important to him specifically during that time, because during that time that he was having these dreams was about a decade after he found himself going through, a nasty divorce, having to pay child support, living paycheck to paycheck, eating boxed mac and cheese every night. I mean, this is someone who went from not having a whole lot and not feeling super optimistic about his future to now, let's move 10 years forward into the mid-90s, and this man is now moving up in his career. He's earning certifications. He's got a path. He's got something to look forward to. He's got a new family. So it felt like to him, it felt like these dreams were a sign that the future was looking up and to stay on the path and everything would work out. And I thought that was really beautiful, and I really wanted to share that because I feel that that really adds to the seriousness and the importance of these dreams to this man. In fact, he states that around the time he met his wife in the late 80s, early 90s, he realized that his company was actually about to go out of business, and he did actually end up losing his job at that time because of that. And naturally he had concerns because he had some kids from his first marriage. She had some kids from her first marriage, and eventually they wanted another baby. Eventually they did have another baby, but I know I don't have to tell anybody here that that's a scary thing to go through, right? It's your security, your safety, and it's really one of the reasons why I feel so strongly about this topic in general, because I truly believe that majority of interactions with spirit, whether they're through dreams or while you're awake, regardless, they're meaningful. Even if that purpose is small, even if it's just to say, hey, you need to smile, you need to relax, let go, be happy, enjoy the things going on in your life, right? Like, count your blessings type of thing. It doesn't have to be a big sign that you're about to ascend to greatness, or that you're about to experience like the worst, collapse of your life or something. It could even just be something right in the middle, and it usually is. At least in my experience, that's usually what it is. But again, that's why I'm creating this podcast. So, we can all share these stories and normalize this conversation and, possibly learn from different people's experiences, worldviews, etc. I just think it has potential to be a topic that brings people together, which I think in this day and age is a beautiful thing. And quite frankly, we need that now more than ever, so here we are. Welcome. Okay, let's get into these dreams, shall we? So we ended last episode with Dream 3, and we are starting today's episode with Dream 4. Dream 4 takes him to some random person's house, a house he's never been in before, and he's looking at this middle-aged woman who appears to be of Eastern European heritage. So Eastern European heritage would include countries east of Germany and the Baltic Sea. So for anybody who's unfamiliar with this area of the world, this could include countries like Poland or the Ukraine, Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, plus many more. So he states that he's standing inches before this woman who's middle-aged, like I said, Eastern European heritage, and she's talking to someone behind him, but he can't see the other person, he can't hear the other person, and oddly enough, she doesn't see him. One of the reasons that this dream stood out to this man so much is because of all the great details he could see on this lady. For example, he could see the individual threads on her tweed jacket, as well as individual strands of her short grayish blackish hair. He also noticed that she had wrinkles around her mouth and that her voice sounded like she was in her 50s or 60s. So as she's talking to this other person in the room that he can't see, he's just standing there like an observer. He just felt like a passive observer the entire time. And she can't see him, she can't hear him. He doesn't know why or what's happening or who she is. I asked him what the vibe in there was, and he said it was pretty neutral, not in one extreme or the other, just completely flat. So at least it wasn't evil and threatening and menacing like the other dreams from the last episode, because that was not fun. That being said, I asked about other details that he may have remembered from the house. So for example, I asked about like the color of the wall behind her, any textures, so on and so forth, and he really couldn't remember anything. He just, again, remembered specific details of what she looked like and how real it looked. That then takes us to Dream 5, which is rather similar to Dream 4. So Dream 5 takes us to a random supermarket where this man is standing in the front of a line being cashed out. And he's observing the cashier and notices that despite her outward appearance that she was friendly, he noticed that she was looking at and talking to the people in line behind him. Somehow he knew that she didn't know he was there despite it being his turn in line. I asked about any physical characteristics, and he said that he couldn't get over how gorgeous she was. He described her as someone who had smooth, dark skin. Like, he could not get over how smooth this woman's skin looked. That was, like, the main thing he kept mentioning. Additionally, he mentioned that she had really dark eyes and that she was just smiling in general at everybody. She seemed to be in a really good mood. She also had long, dark, straight hair that was combed out. And he said that she looked like she could be in her mid to late 20s. So with nothing super eventful happening in these dreams, it begs the question, why have these dreams in the first place? Why two random, vivid, spiritual-like dreams of two random women you've never met, who didn't know you were there, who you've never spoken to? What's the connection between these two dreams and his life at the time? And the best thing I can compare it to is actually something I went through when I was in college, when I started having my own bout of spiritual dreams, where I'd be awoken with these intense feelings of divine love just like radiating through my body, and especially through my chest. It would like jolt me awake. I'm not even kidding. And it was during a period of several years that I was experiencing these dreams. I shouldn't say several years, but I would say at least 5. At least 5 years where I was experiencing these dreams pretty regularly. And what I took from those dreams at the time was that it felt like an indication that I was making progress in life myself. And because at that time I was going to school, I was getting my bachelor's degree, I was working part-time and just sort of slowly building my career and growing as a person, trying to find love, trying to, experience life just like everybody else is. So for my dreams in particular, they felt like they were a sign from spirit that once again I was being guided and I was being watched over and everything was going to be okay and I was making progress in life. That's what it felt like to me. And so maybe it might not seem like a big deal just to have 2 vivid dreams about 2 random women. But when you have a vivid spiritual-like dream, it has a very specific feeling to it that you just kind of can't explain. It's just this knowing. It's very, you get what I mean. If you're listening to my podcast, there's a good chance you've had a dream like this. So what I'm getting at here is, to some it might sound like, having 2 random dreams about 2 random women that isn't really a big deal, but to someone like him who was going through a massive change in his life and a lot of uncertainty about his future, but also he had a lot of hope for his future. So as all this is unfolding in his life, he starts having these dreams. So maybe the women weren't really doing anything special. There was nothing crazy going on in these two particular dreams. But they had a bigger meaning, just like he felt like the dreams were bigger than him. Again, he felt like a passive observer. So when you look at the big picture of everything that was happening, these dreams have greater meaning beneath the surface. So what are some dreams or experiences that you guys have had recently? Feel free to email me at spookypookipodcast@gmail.com. This concludes this week's episode of the Spooky Pookie Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Pookie. And I will see you guys next week. Love ya. Bye.